There are 1 million disabled people on planet Earth. And today I want to introduce you to one of them. She has been here long before any of us. She has systems, processes, cycles to protect biodiversity, to clean our oceans, to clean our air, and to give us the food that we need. All coming from the lives of microorganisms to the animals that we now know inhabiting our planet Earth. These systems and cycles help keep us resilient, healthy, and safe. But something is changing. Her respiratory system is suffocating. Her circulatory system is under attack. And her temperatures are rising. This person is our planet, and our planet is disabled. We must understand that time is of the essence. Our planet is disabled and she needs our help. When we understand and look at disability, the way that we speak about disability is critically important. So, how do we tackle this metaphor? Yes, it may seem far-fetched, a little bit exaggerated, but I actually think it's the truth. The truth that we all need to unpack. And the way that we respond to this truth shows us critical things about ourselves as humanity. The way that we respond shows us our deepest reflections. I've grown up being disabled my whole life. And the truth is, disability is not a death sentence. Disability is not something to be cured. Disability is not something to be prayed away. And disability is not something that should be put on the sidelines. Yet, when we think about the language and the lexicon used to explain disability, we hit a real problem. When we think about our scientists and the way that they explain what is happening to our planet, they use words like incapable, disrepair, shattered, all words rooted in shame, words rooted in disconnection. And it is this truth, the language that we use, that shows us how much we have yet to reckon with disability. My name is Daphne, and I'm a climate justice organizer, a storyteller, and an advocate. I do this work because my life depends on it. I do this work because otherwise I will not be seen. I do this work so others like me can be seen. I've spent my whole life being in rooms where people never expected me to be. I've also spent the last decade of my life being in rooms fighting for the climate crisis and fighting for disability justice. However, many a time in these rooms, it's like deers in a headlight. Two communities who have so much in common, but refuse to communicate with each other. And we have to ask ourselves why. When we think about the reason our planet is in such disrepair, we have to understand and unpack the realities of eco-ableism. What is eco-ableism? It is the understanding and the notion that those of us with disabilities have no inherent voice within the climate movement, that our bodies are disposable, that our bodies do not belong on a clean and safe planet. It is also the compounding of multiple factors and multiple systems of oppression that disabled people experience. Because the truth about a disabled lived reality is that we are not just experiencing the realities of our disability. We come and exist in multiple identities and from multiple communities. I stand here today as a proud Latina, as a woman, as someone with a disability, and those other identities do not fall away because I belong to other communities. So individuals with disabilities experience racism, experience homophobia, experience misogyny, and experience so many other forms of oppression. And eco-ableism compounds this reality. How does eco-ableism show up in our everyday life? Well, let me tell you. The first example is right here. How many of us have been struggling with the heat this week? Yeah. Or even just today, trying to get to these TED Talks. Yeah, right? Imagine if you were disabled, if you had diabetes, and depended on water and stable blood sugar to stay alive. If you were someone who was on medications like high blood pressure pills, beta blockers, medicines that regulate your body, but also keep you vulnerable to the heat outside because it inherently makes you dehydrated, it increases your heart rate, and it also reduces your ability to sweat. You cannot choose between being hot or taking your medications. You have to live. But how do you live on a planet that isn't made for your body to thrive? And this is what we must unpack. Eco-ableism is something that many of you might have even benefited from and can probably even visualize. You just didn't have the words to describe it. Let's talk about my least favorite thing, plastic straws. And it's not for the reason that you think. Many of us can conjure up an image of a turtle in the ocean with plastic straws up its nostrils, and it breaks our hearts. It breaks mine too. No animal should be succumb to the violence of the climate crisis. So what happened? We started banning plastic straws. But something really problematic happened in the week. It villainized an entire community of people. See, people like me, people with mobility and dexterity issues, depend on a very small thing, such as a plastic straw, to enjoy a beverage. And beyond that, to receive vital nutrients that our bodies depend on to live. How many of us want to be able to go to a bar, enjoy a drink with a friend, have a nice cold glass of water on a day where it seems like we can't even keep our body from sweating? Yet, we go into a restaurant, we try to pick up a glass, and that glass is too heavy. So you ask for a straw, and what happens next? A side eye, a look, a really annoying paper straw that's going to disintegrate in 30 seconds. All of these things make you feel more burdensome for the reality and lived experience of your body, instead of making you feel included and part of social situations. It's also vital to understand that the lived experience of people with disabilities on this planet is a purposeful exclusion. The truth is that the climate crisis is a disabling event. Now, what do I mean by that? Individuals who are experiencing the front lines of the climate crisis